Dave, first off, is Will Klein available today?
I would say he's down today. What a performance.
And obviously, Shohei was kind of dealing with the cramping last night. Is that something that you expect to sort of keep a closer eye on him, especially as he's pitching tonight, or is there anything that changes with his workload, just considering how long last night's game lasted?
Yeah, I think with Shohei, feels good today. I think it's one of those we're just going to read and react. No expectations, just kind of see how he feels, how he looks, and then go from there. And obviously, last night was taxing on both clubs' pens, but it's kind of an all hands on deck situation. You kind of figure out who's available and who feels good enough to pitch tonight.
Fifth row on your right, Jack.
Dave, how close did you get to having to use a position player on the mound last night?
If Roki or if Yamamoto couldn't have taken the ball in the 19th, it was probably going to be Miguel Rojas. So that's kind of where we were at. Blake Snell just threw a bullpen earlier yesterday, and then Shohei dealing with the cramps that night, last night, wasn't going to pitch, and so it was one of those, it was either Yamamoto or Miguel Rojas in a World Series game.
And you guys use a lot of pitchers over the course of each season. To see somebody like Will, who's kind of in that depth group, not only kind of perform like that, but sacrifice and give so much to the team. Like, what does that tell you about him, and kind of what has your relationship been with him, over the years? He's coming back and forth, and just kind of what you had learned about him even before last night.
Will Klein?
Yeah.
Yeah, great young man. He has been with a couple of different organizations. Has been all in with the Dodgers, and up and down our player development guys. He was a guy that wasn't really a strike thrower, but really challenging him. Here at the big league level, I think our coaches have done a fantastic job of cleaning at the delivery, challenging him to be in the hitting zone, working on a slider, and great young man. And it's one of those things that you don't really know until you throw somebody in the fire and see how they respond. And so it was just really good to see, how he responded last night.
Third row on your right, Rowan.
Dave, I'm just curious, as the adrenaline of last night kind of wears off, how quickly are you able to actually go to sleep when you wake up today? Is there an extra cup of coffee? Like, how do you kind of bounce back from something like that?
I think everyone's certainly different. I took a little sleep aid to get off my high and woke up with clarity, freshness, and excited to go tonight.
Go to Ron in the second row.
After watching how last night played out, would you ever want them to consider the ghost runner in postseason?
No. I think that it's baseball in its truest form, and part of winning a 7-game series is, if there are games like that, then to have to go through the battle of attrition with pitching. It's hard once you get into the extra innings to not play for one swing, which you saw both teams certainly doing. That's a strategy in itself. We had our chance, a couple chances, and couldn't come through. So I do like the way it is, and also for the regular season, the way it's structured.
And after watching also last night with Blake, in the future, would you think twice about maybe holding off the off-day bullpens just in case you need some guy in reserve?
No. There's also, you can't plan for 18 innings, and you got to plan for what's certain, and his start is certain.
Go to Sonia, the fourth row on your left.
Dave, when you're managing the bullpen tonight, how much do you have to take into account, Game 5 tomorrow, and how does that affect some of the guys whose pitch counts got a little higher yesterday?
I think it's, managing a plus game, managing a lower leverage game, how I decide to do it. It's all kind of contingent on who's available. But, if we have a chance to win tonight, we're going to put the best guys capable to do that and pick up the pieces.
And Tommy Edman, finished yesterday in center field. How much of an option is he out there for you? Could he potentially start a game out there?
I'm not saying it's 0% chance. That was kind of where we were at with, the game, trying to keep guys in there. But yeah, it's certainly a possibility, and obviously it's kind of heading towards Andy. But I did think that Andy still took some good at bats. I really do, and it's just he's having a hard time having anything to show for it. But the defense is still good, and I just still feel the fight, the compete, and when he gets good pitches, he's just got to find a way to finish it. But I'm not there yet.
Further back on your left, Kirsten.
Dave, the last 2 years we've learned so much about Shohei Ohtani, and this year I know you've talked about how just who he is as the DH and who he is as the pitcher. Last night when you guys went and checked on him, just kind of managing that cramping, what do you learn about a guy like him on the stage like this when he wants to stay out there and also understanding that he is going to be today's starter? And how have you learned just kind of managing him in these moments?
It's trust. It's kind of getting to know the person, the player, and what his limitations are. He was not going to come out of the game at that point, but if later on in the game, if there was a run-scoring situation, I potentially would have taken him out. But I didn't want to just kind of take him out of the game for fear that his spot was going to come up again, which it ended up coming up 3 or 4 times. But yeah, he's in great shape, very well conditioned. I expect him to be ready for today, and this guy is a different kind of athlete and a different brain.
Bill, up front on your left.
Yeah, Dave, if we told you a month ago that you would have been considering the idea of putting a position player in to pitch in a tied World Series game, would you have assumed that you were under the influence of one of those sleep aids?
Absolutely, Bill. Yes, I would have thought I was under the influence of something, for sure.
And Will Smith caught all 18 innings last night. What'd you think of that effort? How much consideration did you give to A, pulling him last night, or B, not starting him today?
So I texted him this morning and said, how do you feel? He said he felt great, which I would expect that. I was trying to hold as long as I could because I felt, again, certainly when we got to the end over there with their pen, they were just left-handed pitchers, and they were going to run Lauer. So to have him in there, potentially we still needed to find a way to score. But if there was a situation where I needed to run for him, I had a couple guys ready, and Ben was ready. But I was trying to hold on to him as long as I could.
JP?
And just to follow up on that, do you have any degree of concern with his hand, and is that something that you're watching and seeing how he responds to?
No, I haven't heard anything about his hand in a couple weeks, so I'm sure it's not 100%. But yeah, yesterday's 18 innings was certainly incredible, and so that's something I'm probably going to keep more of an eye on than the hand.
Far back on your right, Dave.
Hi. For casual or international viewers even, how would you convey the mental and physical challenges of what Shohei Ohtani is achieving on a regular basis?
I don't think I don't have a good answer. I can try in the sense of you're talking about two people, I guess 2 people in one, who have to realize crazy expectations, probably unattainable for a person, and to be in one, and then to kind of have the body and mind work together to perform at the highest level with all eyes on him. And so I just don't think there's a comparable if you're talking about one human being.
Far back on your right, Jesse.
Dave, put yourself in Mookie's shoes. What's it like, do you think, for him? Is it different when the guy ahead of him gets intentionally walked that often compared to just getting on base through a single? Like, what's his mindset, you think, with these opportunities after Shohei walks?
Mookie's very matter-of-fact, understanding the game and the strategy behind it, and the way Shohei's swinging the bat, the way Mookie swing the bat right now. He even said it. He's like, I can't blame him. He would do the same thing. There's a certain competitor that comes out, certainly, and you want to make the other team pay for that decision. And that's certainly in there. So I'm going to keep betting on Mookie hitting behind Shohei, and if they keep giving him opportunities, I know he's going to come through.
I'll finish up with Jim because Isaiah's here.
Skipper, being the student of the game as you are, what are some of the lessons learned so far in this series?
The lessons are you've got to just believe in your players, hope that they're prepared and going to perform well in big spots. And I guess you don't know what you don't until you know. And, Henriquez, Robleski, Will Klein, Will Smith catching 18 innings. There's just a lot of things that until guys get in the fire, you don't know about a guy. So it was just really good to see. And so that's probably a takeaway.
All right, Doc. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.